Daughter, you didn't chase him. You simply showed up. And even in your silence, even in your stillness, something in him shifted. He didn't understand it, couldn't explain it. But when your energy entered his space, something dormant in his soul started stirring. He tried to brush it off, to categorize you, to keep it surface. But your spirit didn't speak the language of casual. You carried something that bypassed the mind and hit the heart like a sudden storm, silent but undeniable. His soul flinched because it recognized you. It wasn't your words, it was your presence. The way you looked at him and saw deeper than he was ready to be seen. The way you didn't demand but invited. The way you didn't just touch, you mirrored. And that kind of intimacy scared a man still hiding from himself. He didn't run because you were wrong. He ran because you were real. And real has a way of exposing what pretense tries to protect. He built walls, not because he's cruel, but because he's wounded. And your light revealed every crack in his armor. You were never too much. You were just more than what he expected. He thought he wanted ease, but your presence carried purpose. And purpose requires attention. It requires change. He wasn't ready for the version of himself your love demanded he become. But daughter, that's not your fault. You didn't ask him to evolve. Your soul invited him to. And though he resisted, something in him awakened. Not because you forced it, but because truth doesn't whisper forever. Eventually, it shakes the ground. He thought he could walk away untouched, but he underestimated the power of being seen with purity. You didn't just compliment him, you called him higher. Not with sermons, but with sincerity. Not with pressure, but with presence. And yes, he tried to forget you. He distracted himself. He moved forward with a rehearsed smile. But late at night, when the noise dies down and the masks fall off, it's your energy that echoes in his atmosphere. Not as a memory, as a mirror. You weren't just a woman. You were a moment, a divine appointment, a spiritual interruption. And even though he tried to keep it logical, your existence wasn't something he could calculate. It was something he felt. He may have been drawn to your beauty, but it was your soul that unraveled him. He didn't expect to feel safe in your gaze. He didn't expect to hear his own purpose stirring in your voice. That's why he resisted. Because you didn't just fit into his life, you shook it. You brought warmth into rooms he'd forgotten how to feel in. You asked questions he didn't have the courage to ask himself. You smiled like you knew things his silence hadn't confessed. And that unnerved him, but it also marked him. He'll never look at connection the same way again. Because once you've touched someone from the level of the soul, surface level loses its flavor. Shallow loses its appeal. He now knows what depth feels like, and he will never again be satisfied by the shallow. But this, daughter, is not your burden to carry. You weren't sent to save him. You were sent to be you, to walk in truth, to speak with light, to love without begging, and release without bitterness. What he does with what awakened is between him and God now. Still, don't think your role was meaningless. Your energy was the key that rattled his locked doors, the vibration that disrupted his slumber. You didn't break him. You reminded him that he was asleep, and that alone is sacred. Even now, he might try to pretend that he's unfazed, that he's moved on. But spirit recognizes spirit. And once touched by something divine, pretending no longer brings peace. There is a quiet war inside him now, between who he was and who you reminded him he could be. He might not return, or he might. But that is not your assignment. You are not waiting for his readiness. You are rising in yours. You were the spark, not the structure. and the spark was enough to shake eternity loose inside him. So walk on, with grace in your step and fire in your chest. Heaven is not finished with you. What you carry is rare, and the world needs more of it. Keep showing up with truth, even when it costs you the comfort of being understood. Let your presence continue to be a prophecy, not because you explain yourself, but because you embody alignment. The ones who are meant to walk with you will not resist the awakening. They'll rise with it, and they'll thank you for not shrinking. Daughter, you were not meant to be easy to forget. You were meant to be impossible to ignore, because what you carry doesn't just enter rooms, it shifts atmospheres. And yes, it wakes sleeping spirits. He doesn't realize it yet, but the shift already happened. It wasn't when you walked away. It was the moment your soul brushed up against his and reminded him of a version of himself he hadn't met yet. And now, nothing feels the same. Not the people, not the pace, not even the silence. Your energy left fingerprints on his blueprint. He might try to build something new, but he'll sense the difference. He'll crave a kind of resonance that can't be recreated with surface-level attraction. Because what you offered was rare, not loud but lasting. He feels tension now when things should feel easy. He second-guesses his peace because it doesn't sound like yours. He listens to voices, but misses the vibration in your stillness. That's the impact of a soul encounter. It turns echoes into standards. And still, you didn't demand anything. You never chased. You didn't try to be unforgettable. You were simply honest. And honesty, when laced with divine timing, becomes a mirror people can't stop looking for in every face after yours. He sees glimpses of you in strangers, not because they look like you, but because they don't feel like you. The energy's different. The atmosphere's colder. And he'll smile, but it won't settle him. Because imitation never satisfies where authenticity once lived. You never meant to shake his foundation. You were just walking in your own alignment. But alignment is magnetic. It disturbs what's misaligned. And he felt that deeply. That's why he stepped back. Not because you repelled him, but because truth overwhelmed him. He had gotten comfortable living in grayscale. Then you walked in with color. You didn't fix him. You didn't force him. You simply reflected what wholeness could look like. And that kind of reflection either draws someone in or scares them into hiding. Don't mistake his silence for indifference. Silence is where transformation brews, where seeds wrestle with soil before breaking through. He may be quiet now, but quiet doesn't mean still. You stirred waters that are still learning how to settle. You were a divine disruption. He didn't see you coming. He didn't prepare for your depth. But now, he can't unfeel it. And he won't be able to shake the knowing that something in him only started breathing when you stepped into his atmosphere. Even his distractions feel different now. He moves through life like something's missing, not dramatically, but viscerally. Like the music's a half beat off, like laughter comes, but peace doesn't follow. That's the soul's way of remembering what the mind tries to bury. You taught him something unintentionally. That energy speaks louder than intention. That presence isn't about proximity, it's about resonance. And what you carried wasn't just light, it was legacy. He may not know it yet, but your energy marked him eternally. Don't wait for recognition, don't crave validation. Your role was never to be seen by the crowd, it was to awaken one's soul. And you did that, whether he admits it or not, whether he returns or not. The awakening happened, and heaven took note. You carry a frequency not everyone is tuned to. That's why it feels lonely sometimes. That's why people come close, then back away. But daughter, Don't dim your vibration to fit. The ones who can feel you will never flinch. They'll rise. He's not the only one who felt it. The moment you walked away stronger, more focused, more surrendered, heaven shifted things around you. New doors began to open, not because of loss, but because of alignment. You stepped into divine current. Don't try to go back to small. Once you've walked in sacred energy, everything lesser will feel like noise. You weren't made to be someone's lesson. You were designed to be a living revelation. And that calling doesn't expire because someone couldn't hold it. He'll remember. Maybe not now. Maybe not soon. But when life gets quiet again, when the noise clears, when the temporary fades, he'll feel it. That vibration, that peace, that warmth that wasn't based on words, but on who you were without trying. If he comes back, let it be because he's awakened, not because he's lonely. Let it be because he's ready, not because he misses comfort. You are not a remedy for regret. You are a reward for revelation. This was never just about you and him. It was about a shift, about heaven realigning two paths that had forgotten they were meant to cross. Maybe forever, maybe just for the awakening. But either way, it mattered. And you did your part, with grace, with strength, without begging. And now, daughter, you walk forward, not empty, but elevated. Because what left may not return, but what's coming carries the same recognition, without the resistance. Even now, you might feel him pull at your spirit when you least expect it. It's not just memory, it's spiritual residue. When two energies touch that deeply, something eternal gets exchanged. And even distance can't erase what heaven once allowed. He may try to explain it away, say it wasn't real, say he's fine. But the soul doesn't lie. And the reason he keeps circling back in thought is because his spirit hasn't found rest since you left. You didn't just exit his life, you awakened his soul. Sometimes awakening feels like loss before it feels like light. You showed him what love could be before he was ready to receive it. That wasn't a mistake, that was mercy. Heaven gave him a glimpse, and now he'll never again settle for shadow when he's touched sunlight. You were a doorway to a new version of himself. But not every man is willing to walk through that door. Not at first. Some stand at the edge, afraid of what change will cost, afraid of what healing might demand. And so they stall, not because they don't feel it, but because they do. And while he hesitates, you rise, because that's what women of purpose do. They don't pause their becoming for someone still deciding if they're worthy. You are already chosen, not just by him, but by heaven, for something far beyond romance. It wasn't your beauty that shook him, though it softened his walls. It was your stillness, your energy, the peace you carried like oxygen, that scared him more than chaos ever could. Because chaos is familiar, but you brought clarity. He doesn't talk about you, not openly, but in his quiet moments, when no one's watching, he replays it. The way you listened, the way you stayed centered, the way your eyes didn't just look at him, they saw him. That kind of seeing, it can't be duplicated. He tried to connect with others after you. Maybe he still is. But everything feels muted now, filtered, as if someone turned the color down on the world. That's what happens when you've tasted something sacred. Everything else feels scripted. And though he may have ghosted, withdrawn, or rationalized the goodbye, you were never confused. You felt the split second his energy hesitated, the instant he pulled back from truth. Your spirit noticed what your heart tried to deny. That's intuition, that's alignment. But this story isn't just about him. It's about you, about the woman you became in the aftermath. the one who stopped waiting for someone to catch up and instead started running toward her calling. You've been leveling up in silence, and heaven has been watching. There are things coming to you now that his presence would have delayed. Blessings that couldn't land in your hands while you were holding space for someone unsure. Don't you see? The resistance wasn't rejection, it was redirection. And yet, what you gave him lingers, not out of obsession, but impact. There was a frequency in your presence that reordered his chaos, a calm that made him question what he thought he needed. You were never just a moment, you were movement. He may never say thank you. He may never apologize for the retreat. But heaven saw your consistency, your surrender, your purity of intent. And you will be honored, not in fragments, not in pieces, but in the fullness you always deserved. There is a kind of woman who doesn't chase, she calls. And when she calls, the earth shifts. You are that woman. You didn't beg to be noticed. You didn't scream to be loved. You just stood in truth. And truth is magnetic. He tried to sleep on you, tried to silence what he felt. But dreams don't lie. And the same spirit that connected you won't let him forget. He won't know why he still thinks of you in the stillness. But you'll know. You always knew. And that knowing, that's your power. You don't need confirmation to stay confident. Your discernment is enough. Your alignment is louder than any apology he never gave. You don't wait for clarity. You carry it. Don't be surprised if he returns one day. But don't make his return your reward. Let your healing be the reward. Let your peace be the victory. Because if he comes back, he'll have to meet a version of you he never imagined. One that no longer needs him, but only honors what's true. You are not a lesson. You are a portal. You are not someone to get over. You are someone who awakens destiny. Not every man can hold that, but the one who can won't flinch. He'll recognize. He'll rise. So for now, walk, shine, speak, love. Not from ache, but from abundance. You've already changed someone's life just by being who you are. Imagine what you'll do when you're the one who stops resisting your own power. And daughter, the world is about to see it. Beloved daughter, if you stayed until the end, know that this message wasn't random. It was divine alignment. Heaven knew exactly when your heart would be ready to hear this. Thank you for allowing your spirit to receive, for making space for what others might overlook. You are seen, you are chosen, and your presence here matters. If these words spoke to a deep place in you, confirm it, not just to us, but to heaven by declaring in the comments, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Let it be your prophetic agreement. Let it be your spiritual response. And if you desire to keep walking in messages like this, guided by truth, purpose, and the whispers of heaven, join our channel. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss what the angels are preparing to release next. Stay expectant. Stay surrendered. The next message may be the exact word your soul has been waiting for. Until then, may your faith grow stronger, and may your spirit stay ready. We'll see you in the next video.